In this video, I'm going to show you how to use EFT, the Emotional Freedom Technique, also known as tapping, to clear something that is disturbing you that you know is in your way. It's a very simple technique. It's free, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. It can be a little bit confusing for people when I'm teaching them EFT in my office because a lot of times as I go through what's called the setup phrase, I change it a little bit as we're kind of processing it as we talk about it. So I don't do it the same way each of the 3 times before you go into the actual tapping when you're doing the setup phrase. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to say the words exactly the same way 3 times just to keep things simple. But the setup phrase is basically where you're just saying what's going on. It's what's happening, how you feel about it, and then connecting that to a phrase along the lines of, and I love and accept myself, or I love and accept all parts of myself, or I choose phrase like, and I choose to make good decisions around this, or I choose to have better boundaries. So it's the end part is an affirmation. The beginning part is simply saying what's going on. And then after that, we go through all the different points. And with each point, you tap on an acupressure point, and I'll show you where they all are. And what you're doing is you're simply saying what your experience is. So that could be anxious, your throat is tight, feeling blank, whatever is happening. And if as you tap, you really don't have a sense of anything, you can't feel anything emotionally or in your body, then you can just say the thing, my mother-in-law, or whatever it happens to be as you tap the points. So we'll go through all the different points, and you tap on the order of about 7 times per point, but it's not about counting. It's just you don't just spend a really long time thinking and talking about things. It's just a quick, tap a few times and just say out loud one thing. My stomach hurts, or feeling defeated, whatever it happens to be. And then you move on to the next point. And then at the end, you tap your wrists together. And as you're doing that, these are the heart meridians. So it's an affirmation of self-love or connection to your spiritual core, some aspect of love. And then one of the other things that's good to remember about EFT is that it's helpful to give it a subjective units of distress, SUDS score, anywhere 0 to 10. Obviously, it's not going to be 0 or you wouldn't be tapping on it. And people don't usually tap on anything until it gets up to about a 4 and above. Any topic that feels like it's an 8, 9, or 10, you definitely want to do some tapping on that. You don't want to walk around with those kinds of things going on inside of you. The reason why you give it a number to start with is so that you can then compare when you finish. Okay, that's 30% better, or that came down a lot, I don't need to do more, or that only came down 1 or 2 points, I need to get at a different aspect of this issue and do another round of tapping. So it's a great self-healing technique, and it's also helpful to just take some notes so you can write down what the phrase is about the situation, what the number is to start with, what the number is as you finish, and then maybe you're going to do another round of tapping, and so it's going to be a different aspect of that situation is what's left behind after you clear one piece of it. So that's a way to sort of track your inner work. So I'm gonna pick a topic that people work with all the time in my office. Gluten is a very inflammatory food. It causes a lot of depression, anxiety, insomnia, inflammation in the gut, arthritis, joint pain, brain fog, all kinds of things like that. And so I'm frequently asking people to see what it's like to take gluten out of their life and then reintroduce it after a period of time so they get a clear sense of how it affects them. And everybody has their favorite wheat products or flour products that they don't really want to give up. I've been gluten-free for a while, but one of my favorite is naan. I love Indian food and just love the naan with it. So I'm just going to walk through tapping on having to give up naan, and you can go along the process with me and speak about something else that you're tapping, or you can just kind of watch what I'm doing and then after the video do it on your own. So this is an example of how I feel about giving up naan. And I'm going to, of course, use my imagination a little bit because I haven't eaten it for many years. But, when I think about when I first had to give it up, love Indian food, I'd say maybe it was a 6. And that's not just naan, it's other things, samosas and French bread and so on. So the first thing is the number. And then the second thing is you find a tender point under your collarbones. You kind of feel around. Here's my collarbones. And I'm just kind of feeling around for where it feels a bit tender. And then I'm just going to gently massage this tender point and state the situation. I've been told that gluten is really not good for my gut, causes inflammation and leaky gut and a host of symptoms. And that means I'm going to stop eating my favorite bread things, including naan. And I'm really going to miss it. I love soaking up those Indian sauces with the naan. I don't know what my plate is going to be like at Indian restaurants without that nice, fluffy, buttery piece of naan. So I'm kind of sad. But I love myself, and I choose to take good care of my body and do what I know will make me healthy. So that's the whole setup phrase. Now I'm going to go through it 2 more times. I'll simplify it this time. I'm choosing to go gluten-free for my health, and that means I'm going to be giving up a lot of things, including naan, which is one of my favorite foods. Disappointed to give that up. Not quite sure what it's going to be like to have Indian food without it. But I love and respect myself and my body, so I choose to do the thing that I know is best for me. So that's the second time through. Here's the third time. I really love that wonderful, buttery, fluffy naan, but I don't want to make myself sick, so I'm choosing to let go of that because I love and accept myself and want to take really good care of myself. So that's the setup phrase 3 times. Now we're going to tap the different spots, and I'll just state the feelings as I imagine into this. Disappointed. A little heavy in my chest. A little sad. Feeling like I'm missing out. Naan. Slightly empty feeling. A little bit of inner conflict. Maybe it's not true. A little bit sad. And I love myself, and I'm going to take good care of my body. And now I'm just going to check in inside, kind of scan through my body, notice how I feel. And I'm going to say it feels like a 3 now. So when it comes down that much, that's about 50% less. What it means is, at least half of it you've kind of shifted for yourself. It just doesn't feel the same. And then what's left, you can kind of sit with a little bit like, what is this exactly that's left? Oh, I guess it's kind of a feeling of missing out. And I felt that growing up a lot because I'm an only child and I was always missing out on the whole sibling thing. So maybe I'm going to do a round of tapping about missing out now. So I would say, well, as I think about missing out in general, maybe it's more like a 4. So I'm going to set up the phrase, I don't like the idea of missing out on one of my favorite foods. And I knew I grew up missing out on something really important, having a brother or sister. But I really care for my body, so this is the choice I'm making. Love and accept myself just as I am. I'm going to be missing out on naan, and I missed out on some important things growing up. So it's kind of a hard feeling for me. But I love myself, and I want to take really good care of my body. 3rd time through. I'm going to miss naan. I missed a bunch of things growing up, having a brother, sister, dog, cat, things like that. But this is a choice I'm making for myself because I think it's going to be worth it. And I love and respect my body, so I choose to take good care of myself. So that's doing a 2nd round of it. Now again, I would go through tapping disappointment, frustration, sadness, that kind of thing. And then I get to the end of that, and again, tapping the wrists together, and I love and respect myself, and am going to do what I know is best for me. So you can kind of choose the words as they best suit you. You know, the love and acceptance, or deeply love and accept myself, or unconditionally love and accept myself. That's really hard for some of us. Some of us just don't feel that. I can tell you, doing the practice, you get a lot closer to that feeling. But at first, you just may find yourself kind of rejecting that. Like, that's not true. So you just say whatever does feel true. Like, I am moving toward loving and accepting myself just as I am. Or I choose to take good care of myself. Or I know I'm beautiful inside. Or, whatever works for you. But I will say that the more you do it, the more you naturally come back again and again to accepting yourself as you are, and accepting your feelings as they come up, and not just getting stuck in your head thinking about something, but able to actually feel it and shift it inside. So that's the practice, and if you're curious where the points are, I'll just go over them again. Massaging under the collarbones, tapping at the top of the head, beginnings of the eyebrows, the outside of the eyebrows, right under the eyes on this bone here, right under the nose where this little spot is, under the mouth, generally the chest, and then under one or both arms. You don't have to do both sides, it just feels better to me to do both, so I usually do it this way. And then the closing part is tapping the two wrists together. I love and accept myself deeply and unconditionally. Try it. The more you do it, the more comfortable and helpful it'll be. And you'll probably find other people on YouTube showing tapping in slightly different ways, maybe starting out on this kind of karate chop spot instead of under the collarbones. Some people use points, on fingers and toes and legs, all kinds of different places. It's totally fine to try different points and see if it makes a difference for you. But I think you'll find that it does shift things, and it's a nice tool to have for all kinds of different life circumstances. Good luck!